So my name's Pete Bullimore. I'm a voice hearer, but I'm not just a voice hearer. I'm proud to say I'm a voice hearer. They're my experiences and I own them. And it's great to be here today doing these presentations for the Melissa Roberts Foundation. So I'd like to look at trauma and paranoia during this presentation. Now this is module 2 of 5. The Melissa Roberts Foundation offers a series of online training modules around the experience of hearing voices and paranoia. Now I want to show a picture is the effects of trauma on the brain. Now, people that's been through lots of trauma, it does alter brain structures. One of the problems is, in classical psychiatry, this is what they will show. They will say, this is the normal brain, and this is a brain of a schizophrenic. So basically, we're blaming the person rather than the effects of what can alter brain structures. Now, this is what they talk about, evidence that schizophrenia is a brain disease. Overactivity of hypothalamic pituitary adrenaline axis, abnormalities in neurotransmitter systems, especially dopamine, hippocampal damage, cerebral atrophy, and reverse cerebral symmetry. It's like moving into a new country, isn't it, with new language? It's ridiculous. But the effects of early childhood trauma on the developing brain, exactly the same of what they say is caused by a diagnosis of schizophrenia. Again, this is a response. It's not an illness. Professor John Reed, his research, as he looked at childhood traumatic experiences, if someone experiences 3 childhood traumas, you are 19 times more likely to get a diagnosis of schizophrenia. If you experience 5 childhood traumatic experiences, you are 192 times more likely to get a diagnosis of schizophrenia. The evidence is out there, we're still hiding behind the biogenetical approaches. But I think one of the things that's often missed when we start talking about trauma is the effect of neglect. Now, when we start talking about traumatic experiences, we tend to focus on sexual and physical abuse. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of people go through sexual abuse, physical abuse and neglect. But for a lot of people it's sexual and physical abuse. Now, if someone sexually or physically abuses someone, everything they do is 100% wrong, 100% wrong. And there's also a lot of power and control in there, a lot of power and control. But beyond the power and control, if someone sexually or physically abuses someone, they are giving them 2 very, very powerful messages. And they are, I can see you and I'm interested in you. What does neglect say? No one sees me, no one's interested. We're sociable animals, we need to interact with people. Now, if that happens in childhood, that child will become invisible. That world will get bigger, will get more elaborate, be followed by CIA, KGB, FBI, but they're vested interested in being seen. Now, we're working with people around these experiences. We're not trying to get rid of those experiences. What you have to do is you have to try and make them secondary so they can function in this world. But if things get difficult, they have a world they can retreat back into where they get that control. Not trying to get rid, we're trying to make secondary. One of the problems in psychiatry at the moment is when we talk about neglect, we're always focusing on poverty. There are so many people now coming into psychiatric care, privileged neglect. They have got everything materialistically from their parents. They've not got the love and attention that they crave. So a few years ago, I was invited to see this young lady. Her father is a director of a big international company, and her mum's got a massive advertising organisation. When their daughter was 12 years old, she was put in private education at the other side of England. The next time they had any physical contact with her, she was 18 years old. They've not seen her for 6 years. Now they've invited me to go and see her. I turned up at their home, living in this massive big mansion. Now this young lady, she sat in the front room. She's covered in piercings, she's covered in tattoos, she's totally slashed her arms and legs to pieces. She's as paranoid as hell. Forget the paranoia. What's this lady asking? What she's asking is, someone see me, someone take an interest in me. The first question I asked her dad, I just said, could you tell your daughter that you love her? He said, she knows. I said, no, I didn't ask you that question. Tell your daughter that you love her. And I could not believe what he said next. He said, well, Peter, when she was 14, I bought her a pony. Now, I thought I was a little bit over the top. So I just said, listen, but I wasn't as polite as I'm going to be today. I said, well, sod the pony. Tell your daughter that you love her. Then he said, when she passed her driving test, not I delivered, I sent a sports car down for her. And then he asked the mum, could you tell your daughter that you love her? She couldn't do it. I said, there's a problem in this family, and I'm looking at it. It's you two. You don't see her, she's invisible. Let me stay for 1 hour. They said, please leave and don't bother coming back. The next day, the daughter, she packed her clothes, went back to the side of the country where she's visible. And it's interesting, I've just been working in a place called Guernsey. Believe me, you've got to be rich to live in Guernsey. I was talking to a lady from Children's Services about this exact case. And she said, that's really interesting, Pete. 2 boys have just been referred to our service, aged 11 and 9, brothers. She said, the parents brought them in. She said, I'd not even introduced myself. The dad said, I don't know what their issues are. They've got every Apple device under the sun. So you can't buy their love and attention. People need to be seen, and privilege neglect is becoming more and more prominent in psychiatric services today. So I'd just like to show you this. This is a 3-year-old child. That would be seen as the normal brain. That would be the consequence of extreme neglect. Now, John Reed, who I mentioned before, his research is phenomenal. And I've seen John ask this question all over the world. And no one has yet been able to answer this question. What is the primary function of the brain? The primary function of the brain. Now, people come out, it's about survival, observation, all these kind of things. They're all parts of what it's for. But the primary function of the brain is to process the environment. That is the primary function of the brain. We will all process things differently. You're all going to have altered brain structures. Now, we've been told that they're irreversible. No, they're not. What they've identified is, if you can look at what the problems are in this person's life, the adverse events, and help them work through them, so structures go back, they're not irreversible. It's a traumagenic neurodevelopmental model of psychosis by Reed, Perry, Moscovich and Connolly. If you look at it, it's absolutely phenomenal research that can help people alter those brain structures. But also, I think when we look around neglect, the memories and emotions are very, very important, very important. Now, memory without emotion is just information. Expressing emotions from childhood trauma can lead to later emotional overwhelming. This may contribute to hearing voice or experiencing paranoia. It's important. We have many, many ways that we can explain switching off our emotions. And we do this to survive. But one word sums them up. And that is empty. The person feels empty inside. But the consequence of suppressing emotions, the common descriptions, I have no emotion. I feel numb most of the time. Something is missing in me. I have no idea how I feel about anything. Sometimes my chest feels hollow. I said, I feel empty inside. The core issue, lack of emotional validation in childhood, it's something that's really, really missed. But trauma is frozen or bottled in the sufferer's mind. Use a healing hand of kindness to unbottle it. But reaction patterns. Understanding person-like experience can help reframe their symptoms. Again, I talk about experiences rather than symptoms. Are symptoms of mental illness actually reactions to life stresses? I think they are. The reactions rather than any pathologising human behaviour. Is it patients or people with problems? Marius Rom, the founder of the Hearing Voices movement. Perspective challenges a conventional psychiatric model. Understanding context helps support those experiencing paranoia. Again, like I said before, it's what brought you into psychiatric care, not what's wrong with you. That's an important thing. There's a lady that was referred to me a while ago, and she was drinking 19 pints of lager a day and then going on to a bottle of whiskey. She'd been in 16 rehabs and nothing had helped. And when she came to see me, the first question I asked her, I just said, why do you drink so much? And she said, well, why are you asking me that question? Well, the thing, Lynn, you didn't wake up one day and decide to be an alcoholic, did you? She said, well, Pete, I've been in 16 rehabs and no one's ever asked me that. So I'm asking you. Well, I can't cope with my voices. The drink had become a problem, wasn't the problem. What we found out was her grandfather used to rape her. The grandmother knew when he was going to rape her. The grandmother would hold her down and pour a bottle of whiskey down her throat. I'm doing this to kill the pain of what your grandfather's going to do to you. We managed to work through our experience of voices and paranoia. The lady started travelling the world training with her, only drinks 4 pints of lager a day. So understanding what's behind the behaviour, it's very, very important, because one of the main things we want to get across from this module is behaviour is not primary, behaviour is secondary. We need to know why people react and doing things in certain ways, or we'll never understand it. I teach a lot of psychiatrists in England. It's very strange, they always come in groups of 56, it's like the magic number. And they are behaviour obsessed. And I'll say to them, no, behaviour is secondary, it is not primary. No, Peter, it's primary. Look, I'm going to walk you all into a trap, and they fall for it every time. I say, I'm assuming you're all in a relationship. If not, just for this exercise, can you imagine that you are? You go home from work this evening, you walk through the front door. Whoever you live with, they come out the front room, they punch you in the nose, they bloody your nose, they run upstairs and they slam the bedroom door. Please tell me what you would do. I'd follow them upstairs. Then what? Demand an explanation. Thank you very much, you walked straight into the trap. Why have you hit me? What have I done to upset you? Behaviour is secondary, it's not primary. This is not just in psychiatry, this is in society. We've got to look what's beyond the behaviour, or we'll never understand the impact of what's happened in that person's life. It's very, very important. So on Mr. Robert training modules, the next module will be working with unusual beliefs. There's tools and strategies for working with people experiencing unusual beliefs. Now, after viewing this video, if you feel you require assistance or support, please contact Lifeline's 24-hour support line. There's 131114. Now, that's the support line in Australia. You may be in a different country. In England, it will be the Samaritans, different countries with different support lines. Please see if you can find a support line if you do need support. It's very, very important because you're doing some very difficult things. Or you could contact your mental health practitioner or a family member or friend. There are support services out there that we can use. And again, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Thank you.